said what everyone has been too afraid to say. The controversy about the Confederate statues is still ongoing. Former presidential candidate and CEO Herman Cain urged the African Americans to stop wasting their time on Confederate statues and focus on solving today's real problems. Atlanta's Bishop Jerome Dukes recently explained why people should protest against the Confederate statues and monuments and ultimately take them down. Although our nation's founders are seen as visionaries, the African Americans do not think the same. The only thing that matters to them is that they owned hundreds of slaves. Herman Cain reports, "I am an African American. I hate the institution of slavery as much as Bishop Dukes does. But I have noticed something he seems to have missed. I am not a slave. And neither is he. Slavery was an awful historical injustice, and it helped set in motion many of the problems the black community faces today. But it is not the problem we need to solve today. Those problems are poverty, illiteracy, drugs, crime, and violence." The slavery officially ended on December 6, 1865, when the 13th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified. However, slavery was part of the American history, and taking down those statues will erase that part. But, removing the Confederate statues will not solve the problems that our country is facing right now. The people should focus on solving the real problems. Herman Cain reports, "Now we're hearing that it's not enough to tear down statues of Confederate soldiers, because having fought for the slave-owning Confederacy is not the only sin that needs to be erased from history. Now some want to tear down memorials to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson too, because they also owned slaves. Everyone should know the real story. Those men created the greatest nation in the world and a political system that protects our freedom and prosperity. Although they were participating in an evil institution, that doesn't mean that we should erase them from our history. Thanks to them, we have the world we live in today. It would be better to learn a few things from them instead of wasting our time removing the statues. The removal will not make the history go away." Mike Ditka discovers easy way to make every NFL player respect national anthem. Iron Mike Ditka suffers no fools. He is the former hard-nosed coach of the Chicago Bears, a two-time Super Bowl champion, and two-time NFL Coach of the Year. He ran a tight ship and famously came back to work in a few weeks after a heart attack. Advertisement. And this was years ago, without recent medical advancements. He was being interviewed about the NFL and the topic, of course, came around to the scandalous behavior of the still unemployed Colin Kaepernick and the total malcontent Marshawn Lynch, who have both gone out of their way to disgrace America. Ditka has the right solution, and every single coach in the NFL should listen and do exactly what he says. Advertisement. If so, we would stop this problem dead in its tracks. Listen up, guys, because literally your careers hang in the balance. Ditka said. Well, here's the thing. When we live in a society that pays attention to athletes, say, as greatly as they do to Kaepernick, then we're foolish. I mean, athletes' opinions are no different than anybody else's, they're no more significant than anybody else's. They're no more important than anybody else's. Kaepernick would be an unknown, a complete unknown, nobody would know who he was, without the game of football, without the sport he's playing. And not to respect that, you've got to be a pretty unintelligent person, I would think. Because I don't care what your preferences are, you can have anything you want to. But what he has was given to him by the game of football. I think it's important to me that some of these young people playing the game start giving something back to the game. And respect the game the way it should be respected instead of acting like a bunch of fools out there. Radio host, no doubt about it. Hypothetically, Coach Ditka's on the sidelines and one of his players takes a knee during the national anthem. What happens to the player in that case? Ditka, he doesn't play for me ever again. Execs fear The View could get the axe after what they said about Melania's sex life. The View is a show full of rejects and made for rejects. They have nothing substantial to add to any conversation, and ABC should be taking them off the air any day now. Simply listen to frumpy Joy Behar attempting to spread unsubstantiated gossip regarding the mental health of President Trump. And then pivots to a subject that perhaps she only wishes she could still enjoy: sex and what our Commander-in-Chief and the First Lady are up to, between the sheets. Advertisement. These losers would be peeping Toms on the White House grounds if they could. They are so concerned with the president's sex life. It would seem like Behar has a crush on Trump and is jealous of Melania. "He's losing it," Behar said, "and we'll all see soon. It's going to all be over." "You're not being funny about that, you actually do think he's losing it?" Jedediah Bila asked. Advertisement. "I think he's losing it," Behar agreed. "I think he has short-term memory loss. I think he maybe has a touch of dementia, maybe, I don't know. Something's wrong with him. Something's wrong, I don't know what it is." The disturbing and blatantly misleading chatter and sexual innuendo went on. Bila said that it could be the lack of sleep that Trump gets and that he can't handle the job. Bila is one of the more fresh-faced losers on The View. In an attempt to sound psychic, Bila tried to make more accurate statements. She said that he wanted fame and that he was fighting for the fame that came with the position, but he wasn't ready for the position. It's well known that Trump was already very famous, he didn't need this kind of job to gain fame. At which point sexually deprived Behar went back to her favorite topic: it's also possible that Melania is living in New York most of the time. Behar then tried to say that he's in Mar-a-Lago and he isn't getting any sex from his wife. Why is she so obsessed with his sex life? Does she want a piece? Maybe she could ask the president nicely. And thus another thought-provoking segment of The View has come to an end, and now it's time to take out the trash. Share this malarkey. Make it known how disgusting and sexual the morons on The View truly are. They offer nothing of value to the national discussion. Trump sets new record that makes every other president's jaws hit floor with jealous thud. The mainstream media only reports stories that show President Donald Trump in a negative light. And there is a very good reason for this. A very good reason: they hate Trump. Christian News Alert reports, when President Trump first took office on January 20, 2017, U.S. federal debt was sitting at a stunning $19.9 trillion. In half a year, Trump managed to bring the federal debt down over $100 billion, according to Treasury Direct. Ever since Trump took the office, he's been working so hard to make our country better. Also, he's trying so hard to cut the federal debt in half. The latest records show that Trump has the largest decrease of the U.S. federal debt in the history of our nation. The federal debt has been increasing every year since the audits started almost 2 decades ago. Although many people think that former Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush were responsible for debt cuts this drastic, they only managed to cut the debt on a short-term basis. But this isn't the case. Christian News Alert reports, when you look at the unaudited information, which stretches back to the time of the Civil War, there is only one instance where the U.S. federal government showed a decrease in the debt. Ironically, this instance was in 1957 and 1958 when Republican Eisenhower was the president. Eisenhower cut the debt by $2 billion in 2 years, but Trump achieved that in 6 months. Although this is a huge, the mainstream media doesn't really care about Trump's accomplishments. They are ignoring stories that don't support their agenda. Trump helped in boosting the consumer confidence and brought the stock market to all-time highs. He also helped in the real estate market. Back in 2011, most of the houses on sale took 84 days to sell, but now they are down to 45 days. Christian News Alert reports, the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that unemployment has dropped sharply, especially considering that Obama put unemployment in the opposite direction. Since Trump's inauguration, Unemployment has gone from 4.8% to 4.4%, as opposed to Obama's 7.8% to 9.5% during the same time frame. Although Trump has achieved many things, the mainstream media cares only about stories that support their agenda. Also, they proved on many occasions that they just want to attack the president. However, people learn the truth about Trump, who is making our country great again. Black Lives Matter's jaws hit floor with thud when they saw new sign on KFC's door. Black Lives Matter is happening due to the liberals and the mainstream media. They gain support from them in order to make chaos on the streets. They disrespect anyone on their path and hate on the law enforcement. They make chaos across America and ignore those who in fact really deserve support and respect. The ignorant liberals hire them to raise their voices and to promote violence on the streets by seeking justice. As I previously mentioned, they hate the people from law enforcement, and that is why one Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant has just put up a sign that has members of the Black Lives Matter movement absolutely outraged. As customers enter one particular Kentucky Fried Chicken in Gallipolis, Ohio, they have been greeted by a surprising sign posted to the front door of the restaurant, reports U.S. Herald. However, the second customers saw this sign, many of them took to social media straight away and decided to share the unexpected message. Since then, the sign has gone completely viral and has been receiving a lot of support from sane-minded Americans and complete outrage from the members of the Black Lives Matter movement. The eye-opening sign posted on the front of the door so that no one would be able to miss the KFC's message reads, "All uniformed police officers eat free every day all day." This sign has obviously been met with anger and outrage from the Black Lives Matter movement, who hate the very people who put their lives on the line each and every day to keep them safe, mostly from each other. A picture of the sign was originally posted to the Ohio Going Blue Facebook page and received an overwhelming amount of support and praise from many Americans. The idea is a noble one and one that just makes sense, to offer food to those that give so much to their local communities. Nonetheless, Black Lives Matter members are furious about the more than respectable sign, continues reporting U.S. Herald. We can all bet that no matter how mad these BLM thugs get about the sign, they won't be able to loot or rob this particular KFC. The non-racist and anti-cop BLM activists have shown their reactions to the sign on Facebook, commenting, "Awesome. I knew I always loved KFC," and other similar comments echoing the same sentiment. Another commenter shared a similar opinion, "Should be nationwide in all restaurants." Yes, all the women and men in blue deserve respect because they are the only one willing to risk their lives every day in order to save yours. The law enforcement deserves unlimited support from and respect from the entire nation, and we are glad that this restaurant knows it. Giving them a free meal is the least that we can do for heroes like this.